Sheriar Mundegar. You know, in the past also, when the avatar was born, the father and mother both suffered. When Krishna was born, father and mother suffered a lot. When Ram was born, father and mother suffered a lot because they were separated. And when Meherban was born, Sheriar had gone through a lot of grind. It's not easy to get the avatar as your son. That is what it is. So that is, since Devi asked me to speak on something, already I have other talks ready for the Savas. So I thought today I will talk to you about Sheriar. Because I love him very much. I had seen him only once and I love him very much. So I talk about him. Sheriar Mundegar was born in 1853 in Khorramshahr town in Iran, Persia. And he belonged to a very poor family. The father of Sheriar was the keeper of the Tower of Silence. You know what is Tower of Silence? It's the place where the Persians take their bodies and keep for the birds to eat them. That's called Tower of Silence. Among Persians and Parsis and Iranis, we don't bury people. We put them in a near a well. See, there is a well, and on that there is grill. So the body is taken and put on that grill, and then the birds come and because it is believed that these Persians and Parsis and Iranis believed that if we are not able to be generous in our daily lives, at least let us be generous in our death. And give our flesh to birds of the air or to animals, like that. So that was their belief. And that is why this came into existence. So he was in charge of Tower of Silence. And the one who is in charge of Tower of Silence leads a very lonely life. Because the Tower of Silence is always very far away from the city. And so he lived there. And he had a son, Sheriar. Unfortunately, Sheriar did not have the pleasure of having his mother for more than when he was 5 years old. So naturally, when the mother died, and the father didn't know who would look after the child, so the child stayed with the father in the near the Tower of Silence in the daytime. And just a stone throw away was the accommodation where there must be a room or something, where they lived, where the child would stay at night. Now it so happened that one day the father had to go to town at about 4 or 5 in the evening. And he was afraid that, now what shall I do? I have to go to town, and if suppose somebody brings a body and there's no one around. So he told Sheriar, please sit here and just be here bodily. That's all. At that time Sheriar was 7 years old. And he told father, don't worry daddy, go to the town and come back soon. And I'll stay here. Just imagine what a brave child to stay there. Then what happened, unfortunately, somebody brought a little child, a dead child. And imagine a child being left with a dead child. And of course they went away. Now Sheriar didn't know what to do because he had never known what to do with the body. So what he did, he was afraid because he could hear the howling of the wolves and other animals, and then they might just take away the child. So the child's brain worked, and he saw a string, a rope. So he tied his one leg to his own leg, and one rope to his leg, and one end of the rope to the dead child. Because he was feeling very sleepy. Naturally, he was just a child. And so then he went to sleep. And you won't believe, When the father came back, what does he see? He sees a living child and a dead child both tied together. And he felt in his heart, that what a brave child my child is. So this is how Sheriaji was. Then at the age of 13, he decided that what is all this world he was born a seeker. It's understood. No child would be so brave at 7. So he was born a seeker of God. So he decided at the age of 13 to become a dervish. 13, just 13. A dervish means a mendicant who begs for food, begs for water, and meditates and moves around trying to find God. That's called the dervish. So he decided, he told his father, I don't want to live this life. I am becoming a dervish. So he started wandering. And when he was going by a certain spot, he was very hungry. So he came across a baker's shop. So he begged the baker for bread. So the baker gave him a piece of bread. And he took the bread and he was just walking off. When another dervish from behind came and he was eating the bread, when another dervish came and asked for a piece of bread to the same baker. Now the baker's way was such that he would give bread only to one dervish per day, not more than that. I don't know, maybe he didn't have enough money or he was whatever it is. So he said, no, just now a young dervish came and I gave him the bread. So now I can't give you a bread. So then this old dervish, he went walking to find who this fellow was. And then he tried to test the spiritual knowledge of Sheriaji. And because he was very cross that his bread was taken away by this little fellow. So sitting beside a group of villagers, he said that this fellow has taken away my bread. Let me see, he called himself a dervish, let me see how much knowledge he's got on spirituality. And then that old dervish started asking him questions. And he gave the most beautiful answers about God. And that dervish was really taken aback. And he realized that he is not just an ordinary beggar in the street, a 13-year-old child, but he is very educated as far as spirituality is concerned. Then 3 dervishes came along just after a while, and they saw a snake, and they all screamed and ran away. Sheriaji, he took a big stick and killed the snake. This is just to demonstrate how brave he was. He just killed the snake. And he went on his way. Then what he did is that he took up a job. No, before that, he had to cross a river in order to go to the other side. And it was actually 60 miles that had to be crossed. And he heard the tinkle of camels. Because the camels used to have bells on their necks. So he asked one of the fellows, who was the owner of the camels, that please give me a ride across the river. So he said, give me 2 rupees. Now, being a dervish, he had nothing. How could he give? He said, I have no money. He said, I can't give you a ride. And he just went. Then he was he was wondering now what to do. When the man came and he said, you want to ride across the river? You come with me. It is a very shallow river. We will cross together. And he made him cross 60 miles in half an hour. And after he crossed the river, he wanted to thank the man. There was no man.
Wow.
That means God must have come to help him across that river. Well, then after that, he went on his way, and he thought that I must find God. And during those times, it was a belief that if you sat in a circle for 40 days and meditated without food and without water, you would get God. You would see God. So he decided on that. So he made a circle and he sat in it. But he could not continue for more than 30 days. And he was extremely upset because he couldn't do more than 30 days. And then he heard somebody say, Sheriar, it is not for you to get God with you, but a son will be born who will be God in human form. Go to the world and lead a worldly life. So then he left, and then he came to, so he had to travel from Karachi. He walked from Karachi, then he walked from the Ran of Kutch. You know, the Ran of Kutch is a desert. His feet had become like rubber, thick, because of the heat, and it was so sad. But yet he walked on, and what he did is that somebody gave him 2 rupees. So with that he bought an ochre robe, he bought a stick, and he bought a begging bowl. And he moved on. And as he moved through the desert of Kutch, and then he went across from North India to Pune, because he knew that his auntie lived in Pune. So he went to Pune. The name of the auntie was Firoja. So he went to Firoja. Firoja was most happy to have him, and he said, Firoja, I have come to live here and I'll seek work. I won't become a burden on you. I will look for work and I will work and I'll stay with you if you agree. So auntie said, okay, you stay with me with pleasure. But after some time, the auntie started nagging at him. You must get married. Now, he thought that he will evade the problem. So when one day he said, she again repeated, you must get married, I want you to marry. He was 30 years old then. He saw a little girl, 5-year-old, going to school with books and a bag. So he said, if I marry that girl. Otherwise I don't marry as well. He thought, if he said that would be the end of that problem. But no, Firoja was persistent. And so she went to the mother and father of the girl and said, my brother's son is a dervish, and I want to give you his hand in marriage to your daughter when she grows up. That means grow up means when they are 14, then they are supposed to be growing. So the mother was most pleased, because you see, in those days the status of the dervish was very great. Spiritual man means that. So the mother was most happy, but the father was most upset, because a 39-year-old marrying a 30-year-old marrying a 5-year-old, and 9 years later would be 39 and 14. That would be terrible. But the mother somehow managed to convince the father also, and they both were married. And after 9 years, the girl was allowed to go to Sheriar's house. Then Shireen, her name was Shireen. She was the most beautiful lady of the day. Shireen means peace, and she was very, very beautiful. I remember her because she had come for my Najoo ceremony. We had a string ceremony, Parsi time, so she had come for that. And everybody used to ask, who's that beautiful lady? Because people didn't know who she was, and she was Shireen. Her mother had specially invited from Pune to come for my Najoo. So they got married, and then he started working. First he worked with he worked as a gardener, because He knew about gardening and he had green fingers. Anything he sowed, they would grow. Anything, anywhere, it was like that. He really had green fingers. And so he became a gardener. So much so that after some time he left this gardener's work in order to work in a tea shop. So there were some Parsis whose garden he used to look after. They would come in their car to take Sheriar and say, we don't want you to do any gardening. You just look at our plants and they will And he used to do that. And when he would do that, they said that the plants would grow beautifully just by his sight at the plants. Such was the charm of this. Then what he did is, just imagine, he was not educated. He never went to school. But he was a scholar of Persian and Arabic. And in Pune, professors used to come to him for certain translations of the words that they didn't know. Like if there were poetries of older poets and they didn't know to translate. They would come to him because he was a scholar in Persian and Arabic, although he had never studied. Then he was very much interested in palmistry and astrology. And that was his hobby. And of course he looked after the tea shop. And afterwards the tea shop was converted into a toddy shop. And the toddy shop, I don't know whether it was converted or whether there were two shops or something. So then there was a toddy shop. And now comes the very pathetic tale, and it shows the honesty, implicit honesty of the God-man's father. Sheriar employed a little boy, 13 years old, a Parsi boy, an Iraini boy. And he used to be like a son to him. And he had so much faith in that child. And that everything he used to let the child do. He used to go over, all that he did was he used to give signature. And he would fill up the forms for municipality, for, or when you have a shop, taxes and this and that. You have to do all that. And Sheriar was so honest in his heart that all he used to do is tell the boy, you fill up the form, I'll sign. So he filled up the form and signed. And that was, I think, that time the boy was about 19. And you won't believe what did he make him sign, that I have sold this shop to you and it is no more mine. He didn't know, he signed. And the next day he comes and he says, now Sheriar, you go back home, this is my shop. He was stunned to believe what he was hearing. He said, what do you mean? He said, you have signed to say that I have given you money and I gave you money yesterday. Now the shop is mine. And Sheriar was so taken aback, but he had signed. And so he went home very sad to his home. And Shireen asked, what happened? Why are you back today? You didn't go to work, to the toddy shop? Then he narrated the whole thing. And he said, it was my mistake that I signed without looking at what I was signing, because every time I signed, so again this time I signed. So Shireen was a very worldly, wise woman. And she was very upset. So she took, picked a lawyer, who was a very good lawyer. And all that the lawyer said is, you don't worry Shireen, he's going to win the case. Because I am going to say that he did not sign that paper, he has forged it. So Shireen said that, see Sheriar, we have got 9 children to look after. Shireen had 7 boys and 2 girls. Out of the 7, 2 boys died and 1 girl died. And so there were 6, is it right? Yes, 6 for you. So I had to look after, I had to feed 6 children's mouth. And so all you need to do is, when the lawyer asks you, did you sign? All you say no. So Shireen went and Sheriar went to the court. And the judge asked, did you sign this paper? And Sheriar said, yes, it is my signature. Shireen was taken aback. What's wrong? He doesn't tell a lie that he has to tell. And of course, then the judge said, well, he has signed and he has said that the money is given to him. I have nothing to do. Even if I know this is something that is not correct, but I have no choice but to say that this belongs to that fellow. The judge knew, but the judge had no ground to say no, because he himself said that I've signed. Anyway, so then Shireen and Sheriar went home. Shireen was very depressed and upset. And what do you think Sheriar says? Sheriar says, we have not lost the case, Shireen. He has lost the case. He has lost everything by dishonesty. We have won before the eyes of God. He had lost before the eyes of God. His theory, what it was. Such implicit honesty he had. Anyway, so this was one instance. Then coming to Baba, once the ladies were going in the blue bus and they were all looking fagged out and tired. My mother was also there, my little brother was also in the bus, and they were going to Petta or something in the bus. And when the bus stopped, they were all thirsty and they wanted to eat food, and it was hot because it was desert. Baba said to them, you know, you all have food, you all have water, you all have rest. My father would travel all this, showing the feet with his foot on his foot, with no food, no water. All that he did was seeking for God. Baba is to do that for God. All that he did was seeking for God. Then another time when the MeherBabaLibrary was going, and across the desert ran off catching the drought. And then Baba said again the same thing. He says, the men were very tired, they wanted to eat and drink. And Baba said, this is the desert my father crossed when he was thirsty and hungry. I forgot to tell you that when he was crossing this desert, he was thirsty and hungry and he was dying. And somebody came and said, don't worry, and so spot you go to and have your food, but I will give you water. He took out some water and poured it in his mouth. And then he wanted to thank him and there was no person. So anyway, so Baba says, and my father traversed through this desert in the heat of summer and to find God. So this is what Baba said. Then now this is the most interesting story before I end, because time is up. And that is in the East-West gathering, 1962, during the darshan program, a very good-looking elite woman, well-dressed, came. Baba was seated on a dais. We were all to take darshan from below. We could only touch his feet with our forehead. The lady came, and as she came, she put her head on Baba's feet and sobbed. And then she put her head up to Baba's face. You are so beautiful. You have plenty of money. You look to be very well dressed. You are rich. What are you crying for? What is there to cry? So she said, Baba, he cannot leave his body until you forgive him. Oh, I forgot that part. So then, when the case was over, Sheriar said to the boy, he says, you have taken over, you have won this case, but I forgive you, but you will have to ask God's forgiveness before you leave this world. You will have to ask God's forgiveness before you leave this world. These were very important words. After that woman started crying and said, he will not die, Baba. He will not die. He cannot die. And today he has sent me to ask your forgiveness. What are you talking about? As if he didn't know. He said, I'm talking about so and so, the one who robbed your father of the body shop in a dishonest manner. So, please forgive me. Please forgive me. She started saying. Mani was watching from a little slit between the curtain. And she recognized the face, but she couldn't place the face for a while. And she was very little that time. She was quite old, I'm sorry, 62 when she was quite. Anyway, so she was looking and she was seeing Baba talking and that woman crying. And then she said, forgive him, Baba, forgive him, please. So I believe for a moment, just for a moment, Baba turned his face and looked far away, as if he was looking into the past, how his father suffered because of this boy's dishonesty. And then he said, I forgive him. I forgive him. And this is how Baba used to say, I forgive him. Go. And she went. And on the 4th day, he died. So, this is how it is. This is the story in short, of course. It's a very long story. To make it very brief. This is the story of the God-man's father. And how much they had to go through, what suffering they had to go through to bring up 7 children with hardly any money in their hands. So, it's not easy to become the father and the mother of the avatar. Sounds very good.
I'll talk about the 2 musts I knew in Lower Meherabad. See, when I was about 17 then, 17 or 18. And Baba had sent me to do nursing for 2 years. And then I became afterwards, I was quite ill and I left nursing and I came to stay with my mother, who at that time was staying in Meherabad Hall. That used to be our home, the Lower Meherabad Hall. And I stayed there for a year. And you can imagine I was a young girl and I had no sort of friends or companions apart from the 2 musts whom I adored. Wonderful. Yes, and every day, every morning after I sort of had a bath and dressed up, I used to go and visit Muhammad first. So, and he was very, very fond of me, Muhammad. I don't know why. Some previous birth, something or the other, connection or whatever. Because other people, if they came near him, he would be very fiery and he would even swear and chuck them out, sort of get out of my sight. But when I went to see him, he used to be ever so sweet. He used to wear a white kafni, a white robe. So with his white robe, he had a little stool there, and he would wipe it, and then he would sit. Why? He used to call me Diluba. You sit here. So he used to wipe that with his kafni, and I would sit. And I used to be fascinated by him because I don't know why I was fascinated, but I was, and I used to sit for hours watching him taking out stones from the ground where he was in his room. But I used to be so fascinated, and I would literally sit there for hours till Mum would send someone to call me for my lunch or something like that. And this went on every day. I'd love to sit by Muhammad. And occasionally he would glance at me and smile. And again he would glance at me and smile. And those fiery eyes, he had beautiful fiery, frightening as well. But you could be in awe of those eyes. And yet, he would look very, very lovingly at me. And then one day, one of the servant ladies who was there, she used to look after Muhammad. And then he looks at her and he says, Tani? Here her name was Tani. Tani? I'm going to marry Lindubai. And then we'll have a son. And will you wash the baby's nappies? Because she's very delicate. She's too delicate. She's like cotton wool, he said. Kapusa Sati, in that like Marathi language. She's very delicate. Will you wash the baby's nappies? Tani said, oh yes, definitely. It was really so sweet. And then I, of course, at that time was in love with my husband, who was a doctor. I finished my nursing and we were in love, but we were apart because I was in Nagar and he was in Bombay, and I used to sit with Muhammad and I used to say, Muhammad, when am I going to marry Dave? His name is Devraj. And Muhammad would say, look at me and say, yes. And not like that, he wouldn't say a word. But every day I would nag him, Muhammad, when am I going to marry you? When will you marry me? Do you think you'll marry me? And he'd say, oh yes. And then he said, when you're going to get married, it will be in the monsoons. The monsoons will break on that day when you get married. And it so happened that when I did get married, it was one of the worst monsoons that broke on that day. It was June the 6th. And the first time they had rains in Bombay. And we were all, of course we were in the car, but going to the ceremony, it was pouring, and I thought of Muhammad because I said, he did say that, and that's why it is raining. And I did have a son, when he said, I'll have a son, and she's delicate, and I was pretty delicate at the time. And I did have someone to wash the nappies. So this was funny, that it was true that way. And normally, Muhammad would never step out on the front of his room. He would always stay at the back, in his room or at the back, digging in the ground, for the stones. And but when I left for Bombay, for good, because I was going to stay in Bombay then, do you know, because we could see, from the train, who have been to Meherabad, that you can see Meherabad, Lower Meherabad and Upper Meherabad when the train goes. And my mother was standing there waving out to me. And you won't believe it, but Mama came out in the front porch with a little handkerchief, white handkerchief. And he was waving, and the whole tears were streaming down my eyes because he came out for the very first time to wave, because he was also waving out to me. It was wonderful. He was my very dear friend there, in Nagar. And then there was another lovely, majestic, he looked like a king. He was Babji, another must called Alisha. Well, we used to call him Babji, didn't we?
That name is Babji.
Oh, I see.
Your name is Alisha.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. And he was in that little room, Baba's cabin, wasn't it? In Lower Meherabad. And the thing is, with Muhammad, if he had a jealous streak, he didn't want me to go and visit Babji. So I used to run into Babji's room when I saw that Muhammad was not out on the porch looking. I thought, if he's not looking, then I would run into Babji's room. And I used to stay and sort of talk to Babji for a while. He was really beautiful looking man, absolutely like a king. And he was always smiling, very peaceful. The atmosphere was extremely peaceful, the vibrations you got from him. Very, very peaceful, very beautiful. And I used to love that, so I'd sit by him. And then I'd peep to see if Muhammad is not looking, and then run to my home, And then I would go to Muhammad. One day he caught me going into Babji's room. And he was furious when I went to visit him. He says, no. He says, want you here. Now you belong to Babji. You go to Babji. That's the funny part of it, you know. It's like a child. You are Babji's now. You go to Babji. And I said, look, Muhammad, Babji has not been well because Babji had severe sores on one foot. And I used to go and dress his foot, you know, remove the bandage and dress it every day. So I told him, I said, I had to look after his feet. You must try and understand. That's why I went to visit him, you know. So I made all those excuses and then he says, oh, all right, sit down. And I sat there. But the funny thing about Babji, he had this very, very severe ulcers on his leg, really terrible sores. And I used to clean them and wrap the bandage around him. And then I used to call Najoo, and Najoo used to do the same. Both of us used to clean his feet and wrap the bandage. And then one day we realized that the foot had gone worse. It was terrible. So I ran to Don. Dr. Don King was there. And I said, Don, please could you come and see Babji's foot because it's terrible. You know, the sores have become worse and you must do something about it. So Don said, all right, he was busy, but he came along. He said, okay, I'll have a look at Babji's foot. So he started untying the bandage. And he untied the whole bandage and there was nothing. The foot was whole. There was no sores. Nothing. It was clean, just like a normal leg. You see, he wanted us to do that seva, service, for spiritual benefit. So that's why we used to go and do it every day. You understand? This is how he wanted us to do seva. And it was, but of course, Don knew all about masks. He believed me when I said, Don, I promise you it was terrible, it was in a terrible state. And that's why I called you. And Don King said, oh, that's all right. He knew that, Babji wanted probably service from us. So that's one of the stories about the masks. And I don't know, we had such a beautiful childhood, you know, both in Upper Meherabad and in Lower Meherabad. And this is the story of the masks.
Hilla, were you going to sing today?
It's all right.
Okay.
Sorry.
We're ready.
You ready? Not taking up too much of it?
No.
One day at a time, sweet Baba, that's all I'm asking of you. To give me the strength to do every day what I have to do. Yesterday's gone, dear Baba. Tomorrow may never be mine. Lord, help me today. Show me the way, one day at a time. I'm only human, I'm just a woman. Help me believe what I could be and all that I am. Show me the stairway I have to climb. Lord, for my sake, teach me to take one day at a time. One day at a time, sweet Baba, that's all I'm asking of you. To give me the strength to do every day what I have to do. Yesterday's gone, sweet Baba. Tomorrow may never be mine. Lord, help me today. Show me the way, one day at a time. Do you remember when you walked among men? Well, Meher, you know, if you're looking below, it's worse now than then. Cheating and stealing, violence and crime. Lord, for my sake, teach me to take one day at a time. One day at a time, sweet Baba. That's all I'm asking of you. To give me the strength to do every day what I have to do. Yesterday's gone, sweet Baba. Tomorrow may never be mine. Lord, help me today. Show me the way, one day at a time.
Jai Baba. MeherBaba ki jai. MeherBaba ki jai. Avatar MeherBaba ki jai.
That was beautiful. Well, that's a taste of things to come.
He used to sing before Baba.
Did you?
Always. Every time we came home from school, we were in boarding school. He would make us sing. Our whole family. My father sang in the lower mandali, mother sang in the upper mandali, and all three children, we all had to sing to Baba. And then we'd get lovely hugs and kisses afterwards.
Can you all say the beloved prayer together?